Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast. We have partner Taimur Qureshi, partner Jonathan Cohen. We got the VP of Client Development, Ollie the Shih Tzu. People actually email and call for Ollie and ask to meet Ollie.
Yeah.
Well, she's on Instagram at Chosen Ollie, and she helps develop clients. So that's her job in life. And she's a little tired. She's going to take a nap here. Yeah. And Taimur, welcome back for a third week. We talked about me surviving and thriving in a Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat. We did the rapid fire questions. That was a lot of fun. And this week now, knowing this, we're here, you and I, first and foremost, before being human beings and everything else, we are real estate lawyers.
Exactly.
And how often do you get asked the question, either from a realtor, a mortgage broker, a client, what the heck do you guys actually do?
Yeah, at least once every other day.
I think there are people who think that the deals just magically close themselves, problems just magically fix themselves, and we're just at the golf course. We're getting a rock stone massage, everything besides dealing with issues. Taimur, could you walk me through a typical day? Let's take a Monday. You got a Monday as a real estate lawyer. What time does your day typically start? And is it fun being a real estate lawyer?
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. Full disclosure, I think myself and Jonathan, none of us golf. Neither of us golf. So
David golfs.
David golfs.
He gets out once, twice a year now.
Once or twice a year, yeah. The only time Jonathan and I would be on the golf course is if it's for like a networking event, but you wouldn't see us swinging any golf clubs. We're just there to attend. So for those of you wondering, neither of us is ever out golfing during the day.
I can tell you that I like the cottage life.
Yeah.
Cottage life for me has been being on a floaty on a Friday afternoon, on a Saturday morning, on my phone, still closing deals, still making phone calls.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi is good and the deals don't stop. So no, there's no leaving Thursday night and shutting off your phone till Monday morning. That ain't happening.
No. So the question you asked, well,
typical Monday. How does a Monday
look? When does your day start? When does your end? Well, I guess it only starts and ends when you're sleeping. Otherwise, because we have access to our email on our phones now, right? We're technically always working, right? Whenever you're checking your email, responding to a client, responding to an agent, right? Responding to a mortgage broker, like you're still working. Just because you physically left the office doesn't mean the work day's over, right? So I would say for a typical Monday, for myself, I usually have this policy where I try to clean out the email on Sunday evening as much as possible if I can. So that way I don't have that Monday morning craziness that you generally experience.
I try to do it Sunday morning and sometimes or Sunday night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But sometimes you get busy on the weekend and you can't get to it, and then when you come in.
Wait, we're allowed to have lives?
Yeah, exactly, right? Sometimes we are. So then when you come in on the Monday morning, like the first thing ideally is, hey, you clear out that email, right? Respond back to whoever reached out to you over the weekend, because in the industry, a fast-paced industry that we're in, the longer you wait to get back to someone, the more likely they are to think, hey, like you're just ignoring them, right? Or that you don't have an answer for their problem, and they may go somewhere else, right? So the response has to be rapid. Even when we're in meetings throughout the day, at our office, we have this policy where we try and have 10 to 15 minutes between each meeting, just so that we could get back on those emails that came in between that 45-minute meeting that we're in, right? Because if I'm here doing this podcast with you for an hour and then I have another meeting right after, well, guess what? Now I'm going possibly 2 hours, maybe 3 hours without getting to my email. And that's just a big no-no in our day. Unless you have an out-of-office email set up where someone else is getting your emails, or you've already instructed somebody else in the office that, hey, I've directed so-and-so to get in touch with you if they can't get in touch with me. But either myself or someone from the office needs to be available within certain hours of the day to get back to clients or agents.
People aren't forgiving. They are not forgiving. I can tell you. I remember going in for surgery one day, and I'm calling people, like literally, and I'm messaging two people. And I'm telling them, listen, they're about to take me any minute now for the surgery. They don't know what surgery. They don't know how severe or not. And both said to me, okay, is there somebody else that's going to be able to respond back to me? Or when do you think you'll be available? No. Hey, are you okay? And they know me. They're supposed to be my friend, right? They don't ask me how I'm doing. They don't ask me what's going on. No empathy. It's more, when is my thing going to get done? So sad, too bad, you know? This is where I was a kind of a trick question about the Monday, because have you've done this for enough years. You notice that the Monday 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. slot as a real estate lawyer, how horrific it is, how many messages we get inundated with. My theory goes like this. There are people that have been stewing, sometimes from Friday night, definitely through Saturday, 1,000% through Sunday. So they are now stewing on this one thing, and they're like, oh, gotta contact them. And you know, they go to sleep at night, I gotta contact them. Monday comes 7 a.m., 7:30, 8 a.m. Like, and then there are ones that they call, they email, they do both. And if they got your number, they'll also text you too. They'll message you on LinkedIn, whatever it is. So they try to message you every possible way. The ones that hit at like 8:58 a.m., 9 a.m., 9:02 a.m., you know that this has been going on in their minds for a while. These are they gotta just release, you know? Same thing on a Friday, they gotta do between 4 and 5 p.m. They just gotta release. I gotta put on somebody else. I gotta put as much stress on them as I can so that I get my need fulfilled, you know? And I've asked people, I've said, do you know how many people like you right now are messaging and calling and emailing and all that? I have only 2 hands. And this is not urgent. This could have been sent in a week or 2 from now. It does not have to be Monday at 9 a.m. So just to understand, like, you know, first and foremost, as real estate lawyers, we're on very set timelines. So number one, you have closings that day, closing the next day. What's closing in 7 weeks from now could be 7 years from now for us. It's all about the immediate closing. We have to get people into their homes. We have to get their homes sold, etc. And then we have preset meetings. Sometimes, I don't know about you, like there could be days where I have 7 meetings, 10 meetings. I can't just have people jump the line because there are people that have preset meetings. If I'm late for one meeting, it could do a snowball effect all of a sudden for a whole bunch of people. And it's tricky. It's all a balancing act. And where young lawyers come to me to say, I want to be a real estate lawyer, I tell them, you better be able to juggle a lot of balls at the same time because you've got so many closings happening at the same time, new issues coming up. Because you're probably not doing just real estate. You're also doing corporate, you're doing wills, whatever else you're doing. So in our firm, we do all 3. It's a nonstop juggling act and figure out the priorities because, again, we only got 2 hands. There's only so many hours in the day. And I can tell you from experience, for me, it never gets really easier. It's just you do the best you can.
100%. And, you know, you just prioritize. You know, it's just almost like when you go to the emergency room, it's triage, right? So you kind of put the problem first that has to be dealt with that day. If it's for a closing that day, then that definitely gets priority, right? And then you take it from there. Like the work never stops, right? It's not going to be like, oh, okay, I finished everything for today and now I'm done. Okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? No, there's always something for tomorrow. And what's for tomorrow is something that can wait for tomorrow. So it is a balancing act. It does require a certain method of trying to communicate that to clients and agents, right? That no, like you're not being ignored, right? It's just tomorrow is going to be when you get priority because today the people are getting priority that have to be dealt with today, right? And then when your issue comes up tomorrow, then the focus is going to be on you. And then someone else who contacts us tomorrow for something the day after, well, they'll wait till the day after, right? It's just something, you know, trying to explain that in the nicest way possible to let everyone know that, hey, yes, everyone will get a response to their inquiry one way or the other. It's just going to be on a priority basis. And also it depends on the aspect of what they're calling about. If it's something where they're like, okay, this is going to be a quick 30-second phone call, even though it is something that could possibly wait till, you know, later in the week, then you take that 30-second phone call and let them know, hey, by the way, you know, I've been in meetings all day dealing with closings for today, but this was important to you. So I'm making time right now to deal with this. Give them just, you know, a quick summary of what they're asking for. And then if they have any follow-up questions, then let them know, okay, you know what, we can schedule a call, lengthier call tomorrow or the day after, right? Just so they know that, hey, we're not ignoring anyone. You are important to us, but it's just an aspect of prioritizing what has to be dealt with in a timely manner on that particular day. So that's for the real estate aspect of things, right? Now you come to the other part of things that we deal with, you know, corporate, commercial, wills and states. Now those are generally, there are deadlines in those transactions and files as well, but they tend to be, you know, more spread out as opposed to the rush on the residential.
And some
file,
are very,
right?
very flexible.
And some are very flexible as well. Some are just, you know, like we're waiting on another lawyer to respond to us. They're waiting on us to respond to them. There's no hard calendar deadline, right? So things like that, generally, you know, those we tend to work on usually after 5 p.m. once the real estate transactions for the day are closed and you know you're not waiting to hear back from the other side if they got their mortgage money or if you are waiting to see if your clients got mortgage money and has the money been sent, has the deed been registered, are we doing escrow closing? Like when all of those type of situations are done with for the business day, that's when we generally tend to focus on those files where we're like, okay, now I can spend 2 hours looking at this lease. Now I can spend 2 hours looking at this share purchase agreement, right? Let me review it. Now I can, if the client is available at 7 p.m. to have a call to go over what we found in their review notes, call them at that time, right? Because next day again, you're going to be going through that busy ringer again. So that's kind of what takes getting used to. Once you've been through it for a couple of years, you know your own schedule, what you tend to work with, around which time best uninterrupted versus interrupted, how quickly you can transition between things. It is something that you're not going to know from day one. It's something that you're continuously learning, right? I mean, I've been doing this as a lawyer for about 6.5 years now, right? You've been doing it for more than 20 years, right? So like we're still learning every day.
I'm close to pushing 50, bro. Like it's, time flies. I remember 20 like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we're still like running. Like, I mean, one thing at our firm, obviously, you know, we're very big on paperless. We're very big on using, you know, virtual signings, right? Video signings, and that in a way has saved so much time for us, and that saves so much time for the clients. The main thing is, right, like, we're more than welcome to have you come to our office and sign in person if you prefer, right? But I don't think most people, especially in the GTA with the amount of traffic, want to drive 45 minutes on, you know, at 3 p.m. On the 401 to come and, you know, meet with their lawyer for half an hour in the office, when they could do it from the comfort of their home or, you know, from their office, right? Similarly for us, you know, it's much easier because I don't need to worry about, oh no, I'm on vacation, I can't deal with clients now, someone else is gonna have to deal with them. Like, hey, if I'm on vacation, yeah, I may not be available. I may just be working remotely from anywhere in the world. If I have access to good internet with a stable video and audio device, I can have my meetings, you know, like halfway across the world. Like if it's the middle of the night and I'm working, well, that's on me to figure out, but I'll be there for the client. So in that aspect of things, our firm, I think, is ahead of the curve. And you know, that's part of the life too. Hey, I before, if I was going on vacation, I'd be like, hey, I'm out of office for 1 week. Someone else is going to be looking after my file. You get in touch with them. Now, if I'm not on vacation, but I would like, hey, I need to go away for 3 days for something out of town, but I'm still working. Like, because what I need to do for my personal life is going to be after working hours, right? I don't want to lose out on the work day based on that. And, you know, I don't want to pass that work on to someone else in the office. Guess what? Remote signing, I can access the client. They can access me.
Timur, do you like the symphony?
I do, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to go out and watching a symphony.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because I remember talking to a client about this. You know, client, you know, owns a bakery. Okay. And this client owns the bakery, comes to me and says to me, you know, I like working with you, Jonathan, but I want you to do my work for me. I want you to generate all the paperwork. I want you to schedule the appointment. I want you to do the whole shebang. And I said to him, Jim, Bob, whatever his name was. I said, Jim, Bob. Maybe it was both. I said to him, you like the symphony? He likes the symphony too. I said to him, when you go to a symphony, is there one guy there that sells the tickets, the same guy rips the tickets, same guy leads to your seat, same guy who sells you the concessions, same guy who does the lighting, does the music, plays every instrument, is the conductor? Is that how it works? He's like, no, of course not. It's wonderful. So you own a bakery. I said to him, great. I said, you buy the ingredients, you go pick up the ingredients, you go and actually bake the cakes then, you put all the frosting and everything, you put them in the box, you deliver them. Is that how it works? He goes, no, of course not. I go, how come? He goes, I'd be out of business. Like, nobody could afford me if I was going to do all the work. I said, bingo. How do you think we're any different? You know, funny, people work with Timur, they think it's only Timur. They see Jonathan, it's only Jonathan. No. We're a symphony. You know, we often, as lawyers and partners, we're the conductors in the orchestra, but there's other people playing the instruments. Otherwise, music ain't going to get played, you know, when you're missing the key instruments there. And there are people who back up to those instruments, so the person's not playing. That night it'll be played by somebody else, but the symphony keeps going. How many times have you been in a real estate transaction, Timur Qureshi, where the other lawyer you're contacting, it's a day of closing, day before closing, you're not getting a response, and the clerk says, sorry, lawyer is in criminal court today. Lawyer unavailable. Well, I don't give a flying fadoo if the lawyer's not available. We got a closing, and somebody's got to sign off on it, and somebody's got to answer us. Well, that's what happens when you got a one-man band, one-woman band. That does not work. That's why I didn't want to be a sole practitioner. So for Kormans LB to be a successful real estate law firm, just so people know, it's a symphony. There's a lot of people in the background, from our bookkeeping, our admin, the clerks to the lawyers, and even the lawyers. Think about every file where there's 2 lawyers in every file. Why? Because Tamur could be on a file with Faizan, and then Tamur is doing a seminar. Tamur is taping a podcast. Closing is today. Well, sorry, Tamur's not available for the next 2 hours. No. You got to speak to that lawyer. That way, there's always continuity. And that client said, whoa, I get it. So I said to him, so this cake I'm buying for $50, if you were to do every single step, what am I going to pay? $5,000 for that cake? Great. So you got this corporate transaction, $1,000. If you're proposing me to do everything you're just saying, it's going to cost you about $10K. He goes, let the team do it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where, and people have to understand from that end of it, us as lawyers, we have this type A personality for the most of us where we have this need to want to control every single aspect. Learning to delegate, learning to let go of the reins because you can't do everything, but you stay in contact, you stay in communication. When you have solid communication, that helps avert a lot of it, but there has to be some trust, there has to be some delegation. Otherwise, nothing will get done. You can't. There's only so many hours in a day. And I can tell you, Timur, I struggled with that for years. There were so many years that I didn't have any clerks as an associate. I just did all my stuff from beginning to end, and I never slept. And it was hard, and I never was able to grow myself. I couldn't go to any functions whatsoever because I was constantly in the trenches. So there's got to be balance that way. And most of us in our work professions do get that. So I think for people to understand from real estate lawyer, you bring in a real estate lawyer, you're hiring the law firm, you're bringing in the team, and you want a team. You want a solid team. The more that there's a team and a team working together like a symphony, the music's going to sound a lot better.
100%. Right? And that it's all about accessibility as well, right? Because if we want that one person on the file from, point A to, point Z, then, well, you're not going to get access to them as much, right? But if there's a team working, then guess what? If one person's not available, hey, you go to the clerk on the file, ask her, right? Or if you go to the backup lawyer and file and ask him, right? So that way, it's beneficial for the client as well because they are getting a response in a more timely manner, which at the end of the day is all most people want.
That's absolutely it. When I bring on a young lawyer, a young clerk into our law firm, I tell them this law firm, for it to succeed, for you to succeed at our law firm, 2 things is all you need in life: expectation and communications. That's it. When you have a file, and let's say the client is asking you for something, let's say the lawyer's asking for something, the partner's asking the associate, whoever's delegating, whoever's dealing, the person on the receiving end, they should set, number 1, the expectation. When do you need this back by? Very, very clear. Agree on that expectation that you can meet or beat it. So whenever you can beat it, it's always better, right? And then communicate. From our law firm, I know you've seen this with clients. When we're the ones to reach out before they reach out to us, they get impressed with that. When you're dealing with a service provider and you can never reach them and they're never accessible and they never respond back, even to understand, like, I don't expect my doctor to pick up the phone. My doctor is with a patient. But for some reason, sometimes clients are saying, I don't understand why you didn't pick up the phone. Well, I'm in a meeting and I don't interrupt my meetings for phone calls. That's my policy because I show respect to that meeting. But I respond back within an hour to 1 day max, depending on the circumstance. But I'll even send that 1-line email. Hey, got your message, in a meeting, we'll respond back. Is it urgent? Can I wait till tomorrow? Again, expectation, communication. So this is where you have to have a functional relationship. To have a functional relationship for it to work, expectation, communication, if it's professional or personal. So something I strive towards, something we strive towards as a law firm. And I can tell you, when you have repeat back clients, repeat back realtors, mortgage brokers that want to work with you, when you've closed somebody's house deal and then they refer their brother, their sister, their son, whoever it is, it's the best feeling on the planet.
No, obviously that's, and we pride ourselves on our Google reviews, right? And that's all the amazing feedback that we get from the clients, just that top end service from start to finish.
We love you too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's all based on the experience that you're giving them, based on which they'll give the referral, right? So it's very important. Communication is key, especially in the fast-paced environment that we're in. Oftentimes, like we'll get a deal today and the closing 60 days from now, right? But the main focus on the file doesn't really take place until the mortgage instructions come in, right? On a residential purchase transaction that we're kind of discussing here, right? So yeah, like we have, like at our firm, we're very good on getting the file open and getting the intake out, a detailed intake out to the client within 2 business days, right? We're usually pretty good about that. And then, like there's a bit of back and forth between the clerk on the file and the clients about them getting their information to us. And if that's all there, we have it ready to go. But the bulk of the file gets worked on usually, 2 to 3 business days before the scheduled closing. And that's when, like the client is basically, in that VVIP list for us, right? Like all the tensions on you and your file, right? And like we're accessible to you, and hopefully you're accessible to us as well, because it's a two-way street, right? Like certain things we can only work on based on the response you're giving us, right? So we pride ourselves on being open for communication and available for clients in that tight time span. And just sometimes things are changing from like a mortgage instruction point of view last minute, and we have to turn around and redo the entire signing package on less than 2 hours notice, right? And that's where the advantage of digital signing comes into play, because now instead of having to redo all the documents and printing everything, it's all digital. You just kind of edit on there and then redo it. It does take still a few hours. It can't just be instantaneous, but much better than the old days, right? And that's where I think our firm has an advantage over a lot of other firms out there.
And we're not looking to just get new clients. We're looking to build relationships.
Exactly.
And it's the best feeling, when you see people through their life circumstances and they trust you as a professional. And we're all about relationships. And the relationships are what make the world go around, really. So we're just lucky that, we have a lot of great clients, that do entrust in us. And, our law firm has been around since the 70s, and it's going to continue for another 1,000 years. And that's why we do what we do for a living. So can I ask you, as we're ending today's episode, Tim, I've always wanted to ask you is... When you were baby Timur, you came out of the womb and, you were with your pacifier and everything and learning to walk. You always knew that you wanted to be a lawyer. You wanted to be real estate specifically. What were you planned for your life when you first grew up?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say it was that early. I consider it as an option. I would say probably starting in middle school, when you kind of get introduced to courses like law in school, and okay, this is interesting, and obviously as a child it's much different in your head, that the thing you see in TV and movies, like you're always in court, and things are getting resolved in like if it's a TV show, oh yeah, you go in one episode and the second episode it's already all done. Well, that's not how it is in real life anywhere close to that.
Nope.
But just that's kind of what drew me in, and I think I said this to you, to yourself and David and Jerry when I interviewed about just over 6 years ago now. That initially my plan was I wanted to go something in finance and business, right, and keep law as a backup option. And when I started my undergrad after first year in my business degree, I was like, okay, I'll finish this, but I think this is not for me. I'm more of a problem solver, and a day-to-day type of person that wants to deal with people on a daily basis, as opposed to just look at numbers all day, right? And that kind of transitioned me more towards law, and specifically for real estate law. I guess what I would say is when I took the land law course in law school, it was obviously the courses they teach you, certain aspect of it is contract law as well, right. But they're teaching you cases from 200 years ago, right? And it kind of draws you in as the concepts that they use to solve issues back then are still very relevant today, right? Yeah. The technology changes, how people deal with each other change, but the problem and the solutions are more or less the same, right? Yeah. And then I worked with a boutique real estate lawyer during my first year, during the summer, first year and second year of law school. And I was there for about 2.5 months, and I just hit the ground running. And I was like, what, this is something that I like, and this is what I want to get into after I graduate from law school. So each summer during law school, I worked as a summer student at a law firm that was doing real estate law, and they were doing aspects of commercial real estate and corporate as well. So that's amazing. Where I got introduced to that. When I was articling, my articling principal, she had a very good practice of estates law. Mm-hmm. She was practicing in an area where there was a lot of elderly clientele. So, I got very familiar with wills and estates working during my articling as well. And, the story, Jonathan knows the story. I interviewed at Kormans, I think 2 days before my bar call ceremony. Yep. And then the day after my bar call ceremony, Jonathan called me and said, hey, here's your offer of employment, and, you start on this day. And this is before COVID, so work from home was not a thing back then. It came into play about 6 months later, but we were undergoing renovations here at our office at the time.
All the offices.
All the offices. Because I think Markham office they just moved into on the first day that I started, because David called me from there. Mm-hmm. And then Toronto office construction was starting.
Well, no, it was finishing. Like we were ready to open it. We were ready to open it.
Yeah, it opened I think about a month or so after. And then even our head office, Mississauga, there was a lot of renovation going on there too. So the physical space that was my first office that I started here wasn't ready for when I wanted to start work.
Yeah.
So what the partners told me was, hey, yeah, like here's your here's your letter for employment, but you're gonna start 3 months from now. And I was like, what, 3 months from now? I'm like, I can't wait to work that long. I was like, guys, like, come on, like I'll take a month to go see some family, but can I start earlier? And then they were like, you know what, we like you so much, we'll accommodate around you, so we'll do your office first, and then the rest of the construction here we can do after the fact. So I started April 1st, 2019. Started on April Fools and just fooling around in real estate law ever since. Yeah.
Well, as we're into this episode, I gotta ask you if today, knowing what you know and the person, the human being that you are, Timur, if now all of a sudden you weren't a lawyer anymore, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't a lawyer?
Oh, that's a
hard,
really, really good question. Honestly, knowing what I know now, I would be doing a wrestling podcast probably. That's what I would be going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be prime minister.
You'd be prime minister?
Yeah,
No.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go big or go home. I'm gonna fix the country once and for all. I'm gonna be prime minister at this point. And if I can't do that, maybe I'll just be a wrestler. You can do the podcast, and I'll go wrestle. You know what? I'm sure there's lots of guys in their 50s that want to start wrestling. So maybe I'll try that.
There you go. I think you can do it.
Well, for those listening, for those who are real estate lawyers, you understand, our journey. And for those that are thinking about it, either you're really excited now to become a real estate lawyer, or you may be calling us with our other ideas. So you got to see the inside of the real scoop of what happens with real estate lawyers and how we function here at Kormans LLP. Timur Qureshi, Jonathan Nakoan, reach out to us anytime. Questions, comments, we'd love to hear back from you. And we'll be back next week. This is the Chosen Life Podcast.